What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the J Area Podcast. Fresh off of a victory in the NFC Championship, the San Francisco 49ers will advance to their 8th overall Super Bowl and their 2nd in the last 4 years. For this episode, I am joined once again by my brother, Jared Ramos. Welcome back to the show.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's been a minute, man.
I thought it was really appropriate to have you on this episode, specifically because of how the Niners, won and emerged victorious in that NFC Championship game. I don't know. I couldn't have thought of a better person to have been on this episode. I know in recent weeks I've had a special guest in Dan, our good friend Daniel.
Dan the man, yeah.
Dan the man. I love having him on the show, and I thought it was very appropriate to have you on this one to get your insight and get your opinion, not only on how the NFC Championship went, but overall how this season has been for our San Francisco 49ers.
Damn. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for having me be on here. It's an honor. It's been a while, but it's good to be back, Oh, dude, I don't know where to start, man. Okay? Because, what was it? We were down by, how many points heading into the halftime?
Heading into halftime, we were down 24-7. It was a 17-point deficit, something that we've experienced in the 2012 NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly something we don't want to be a part of, but it's part of the game. Sometimes you're going to be on the bottom, and sometimes you're going to be on the top. Walk me through your emotions. I know while we were watching the game, not a lot was being said because in those moments, we treat the NFC Championship, we treat football games almost as if it's church. And
yeah.
We really don't have a lot of expression. I know some people are not a fan of that, but that's just how you and I happen to watch that game. So from your perspective, just walk me through. What were your emotions heading into halftime being down 17 points?
Well, when we were down 17 points, I was really upset and frustrated because I know the star power we have, and I know we're capable of winning, and we shouldn't be down to begin with, I knew for one of the big changes that we had to do was the defense. We needed to change up the defensive ways. We were playing a little bit of zone coverages that I noticed early on, which it was really crucial and was not helping us out considering the fact that Gibbs was running the ball pretty well, and that the fact that the offense, it took a while for him to start going. That's pretty much about it,
It was very hard and very inconsistent for our defense, a defense that is ranked top 4 in the NFL, especially during the regular season, to see how Detroit was able to move the ball with ease across, field to field. And it was something we're not accustomed to, specifically the offense as well. We were struggling to move the ball ourselves. And I don't know if we attribute that to the amount of inexperience that a Brock Purdy might have, or even a level of rust that he might have sustained with that week, more like 2 weeks off, because they didn't play week 18 by resting a lot of their starters. But the main headline of it all is the 17-point comeback, and seeing Brock Purdy being able to lead the boys all the way back from, like we said, 24-7 to a 34-31 victory. Certainly a game I was wishing that wasn't going to be that close, but ultimately you got to be happy with the win. And for this year alone, I feel like it means so much more to us Niner fans, to you and I specifically, on what the potential of this game can be, given that on the other side in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs emerged victorious. They punched their ticket first to the Super Bowl, and once again it was a rematch of Super Bowl 54, now Super Bowl 58. And I know how you feel about the Kansas City Chiefs, but I don't know if you agree with this, and I want to know your take. I feel like this is the matchup we wanted. We know the Ravens were the number 1 seed, and we have to give respect to Lamar and the Ravens. But I think in terms of what this Super Bowl means to us and to the Niners, the Chiefs, they're public enemy number 1. They're the one team that we want the most.
Well, honestly, I couldn't agree more because, yeah, like you said, we all know how I feel about them. And I told you before, when we lost in Super Bowl 54, I said, if we're going to go back to the Super Bowl, I want a rematch. I want revenge. It's just... I'm happy that we won, obviously, but now we have to focus to the Chiefs. It's going to be a tough game, especially the fact that it's going to be the same ref who did also ref 54, Belichick. I'm not going to go further into detail, but to me, in my eyes, he's kind of very controversial, him and his crew. There's so missed flags, all that. And I'm not being biased because, I'm a Niners fan and they're holding on to boast and not calling it. No, it's because, every ref, they do make their mistakes, all of that. But, I find it kind of fishy, okay? Because, first off, You got Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Okay. Yes, we've been hearing the name everywhere. You know how they are, and I know everyone's getting sick and tired of it. Okay, and the whole Swifties and all that. Some people have conspiracy theories that the moment they got together, the NFL knew, hey, we can get a lot of money out of this, if the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl because of Taylor Swift and the Swifties, because the whole revenue and the viewership, So I want to know what you take on the whole Travis Kelce and the Taylor Swift saga, whatever you want to call it, for the Super Bowl.
Dan and I had this conversation as well in terms of how the Swifties have infiltrated the NFL and how they really affected not only the viewership but also the sales. I don't know if you've seen this, but they apparently Taylor Swift, for some reason her name slipped my mind there, even though they talk about her all the time. She's been bringing in a lot of revenue in terms of viewership and ticket sales and merchandise and a lot of attention to the NFL. I can't fault them for that. It's a business. At the end of the day, you want to optimize your opportunities in making the most money. For me personally, I understand she's a huge celebrity. She's a big star in her own right, and they're going to pan the cameras to her every now and then. I just feel like it's the level of consistency and the overabundance and saturation of seeing her on the screen. For me, it's the same reason why, when you're here watching a football game, you're here to watch the game. You're here to watch the stars. So when they elevate storylines that are involving her, when she has no reason to be involved in these storylines, because at the end of the day, her participation doesn't affect the game, doesn't affect the outcome. I have respect for Travis Kelce. I think he's the number 2 tight end in the league. But given his level of productivity in this postseason, that's what we have to focus on. And you talk about conspiracy theories. For those who don't know, I know you have a running gag with the officiating, but I always tell you, you have to play better than the referee's ref. I don't worry about the referees. As long as we play our game, we play smart, we play clean, and we don't have a messy game in terms of penalties, our brand of football, I strongly believe, will elevate us and propel us to a victory. You bring up conspiracy theories, and I wanted to touch on this because it's been something that's been going on the whole year, the last few years, and that's the Super Bowl logo.
I knew it.
Do you think it's official? We don't have to worry about that because in 56 and 57, everyone made a big deal about the colorways and the color schemes. This one had a predominantly more purple color to it, along with a little bit of red. The Ravens and the Vikings, last time I checked, aren't in the Super Bowl. Can we finally put to rest the whole idea that the Super Bowl logo is predicting the Super Bowl matchup?
Mm-hmm. I think we could put it to rest, but I do love conspiracies, and I do have another theory, okay? Another conspiracy theory, okay? The last few matchups, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong. The teams that face each other in the Super Bowl, the following season, they have a rematch in the regular season. For example, the Eagles and the Chiefs, for the Super Bowl that happened last year, they had a rematch this year, And there was another one. I believe it was the Cincinnati and the Rams. I
can confirm the rematch happened not the next year, but the following year.
Okay.
They had a rematch.
All right. We can also lay that to rest as well.
It's tough, with these conspiracy theories, and just I think there's, at the end of the day, just coincidences.
Yeah, I guess you could say that because I knew heading into the postseason, I would say past heading into the conference championships, I looked at the whole rematch thing, and I looked at the Lions schedules, the Ravens schedules, the Chiefs, and of course the Niners. And out of all the schedules for the rematches, the Niners and the Chiefs were going to face each other the following season. And I'm like, what are the odds they face each other in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
They're going to have a rematch for next year. They know because if that were to happen, obviously there's going to be a lot of viewership, revenue, ticket sales, because,
it's business.
Everybody loves a Super Bowl rematch. And like you said, it is all about business. It is a business sport in the end.
I think another one in terms of sporting conspiracy theories that I think for the most part has been accurate, no matter how much you want to give it credit or not, is the Madden curse. For some reason, that one has had such staying power and consistency. And you look at recent years, the only ones that really kind of outplayed it were like a Tom Brady and a Patrick Mahomes. Those guys were able to have success. But aside from that, Josh Allen was on the cover of Madden 24.
Yeah.
And we saw how that game happened. They had it in the palm of their hands, to quote Sinbad, in Jingle All the Way. They had it. They had it in their hands. They literally had the game. They had the opportunity to punch their ticket into the next round and clinch a spot in the AFC title game against the Ravens, but they weren't able to do it. Mm-hmm. Do you think... I mean, I can't even ask, do you think it's been proven at this point, the Madden curse, it's kind of a thing?
Yeah, no, I think it's a thing. Now, speak about the curse. I want your take now, okay? Who do you think should be on the cover for next year's Madden?
For next year's Madden, one guy immediately pops up in my head, and it might be too early, right? But I feel like it might be a good opportunity, and I think CJ Stroud has real potential to be there. I personally want to say I don't want it to be like a Brock Purdy or McCaffrey. I don't want us anywhere near those covers.
I don't think they're going to put Purdy on that, to be honest.
Well, the media has been so anti-Purdy.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
And we were talking about this at home as well with our sister. And he's the last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. Mm-hmm. You would think that the media and these so-called experts and pundits would be supporting his story. But it's been the complete opposite. They keep trying to push him down. I look at like Undisputed with Keyshawn Johnson, Skip Bayless, and Richard Sherman, God bless him. And Keyshawn Johnson was discrediting that Green Bay Packer win because we came back by only 7 points. He says they didn't come back by double digits. Well, now we come back by 17. Now, granted, we shouldn't have been trailing by that much, but at some point you got to give Brock his credit. Especially because he showed us how athletic he can be on the run. Did you know? So at the end of the game against the Detroit Lions, he had to run back and kneel, obviously to end the game, victory formation, but he ran back to kill a little bit of the clock.
Yeah.
That was a -3 play. Mm-hmm. If he had kept those 3 yards, he would have been 1 yard shy of what Lamar ran in their championship game. Isn't that crazy to think about?
I didn't even realize that, to be honest,
man. He technically had a very similar in terms of rushing yards to Lamar Jackson, and he only ran the ball 3 times, Brock Purdy did. And it came out in crunch time in the fourth quarter when it mattered most, excuse me. I just don't understand it. I feel like his story in itself is a movie, and maybe that's me being biased and a movie fan, but Brock Purdy is a story not unlike like a Kurt Warner.
So, okay. Speaking about the whole Brock Purdy, how he had a lot of rushing yards.
Yeah.
Compare him to Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Lamar, his whenever he runs, is designed run plays. Purdy, no, he improvises. Mm-hmm. Not many quarterbacks can actually improvise and keep the play going on for longer. Because take for example Garoppolo. Okay.
Oh God.
Like as Niner fans, it was a weird time.
It was a love-hate relationship with Garoppolo.
Yeah. So, okay, if you're going to say, oh, Purdy, he's only good because of the players he had, look at Garoppolo, okay? He wasn't doing this type of stuff, man. If anything, he's the Will Chamberlain for interceptions.
He was physically incapable, though. I mean, you saw the one time he tried to scramble, he blew out his ACL against the Chiefs in 2018.
Yeah.
I look at that matchup, though, in terms of the Garoppolo and Purdy, and I really like what you said about how people criticize Brock for having these weapons. If you look at all the all-time greats, you need weapons. Joe Montana had a Jerry Rice. Mm-hmm. He had a Roger Craig. He had a John Taylor. He had a Dwight Clark. Tom Brady had a Randy Moss, a Julian Edelman, and a Rob Gronkowski. But you look at a guy like Dan Marino. If you're not a Miami Dolphin fan, can you name any of like the more predominantly successful players that he played with?
You got me there, actually.
He doesn't have a ring. And that's not to slight anybody on the Dolphins. Mad respect to Miami Dolphins and Don Shula and Dan Marino. But in order to win, you need to have a team around you. You can't just win without anybody. It's either you have a dominant defense like the Baltimore Ravens, or you have a potent offense such as that we're seeing. You look at like a Kurt Warner. Again, I always go to Kurt Warner. He had an Isaac Bruce. He had a Torrey Holt. He had a Marshall Faulk. He had an Orlando Pace on his offensive line. You need to have these weapons around you in order to be successful. You can't do it by yourself. It's not like the NBA when LeBron James was taking the 2018 Cavaliers and the 2007 Cavaliers to the finals, doing all the work himself basically. You need to have a group around you. You need to have that system and good coaching, because they also slight people because, oh, is it the coach or is it the player? I'm like, I'd like to think it's a little bit of both. You need a complete team. There's literally 53 men on that roster, and a coaching staff. You can't all win it just by one guy. And that's one thing I need people, or at least I would hope people would acknowledge and recognize that it is a team sport.
Okay, so I want to go off of the whole team sport and you got to have a good players and a good coach.
Yeah.
Okay? If that's the case, do you think the Patriots,
Yes.
do you think they only won because of Brady or because of Belichick? Because look at what Belichick is going right now. He doesn't have a job right now. You know, he's struggling to find a place to work, you know?
He's already confirmed that he would like to coach in 2025 because in 2024 no one really opened up for him.
It's kind of mind-boggling because like it's Belichick, you know? Like everybody knows Belichick.
Yeah.
Okay? You know, he has a huge part in this game. And for him to like having a hard time finding a job, it's like, hey, ever since when Brady left, they haven't done anything. Brady managed to win a championship in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Think about it, okay? Did you go to the year, I don't know, 2010? Okay? Actually, no. Go to the year where they almost had the perfect season, okay? When they won, you know, the whole regular season games, but they lost, you know, to the Giants.
Yeah. 2007.
2007, okay. If you think about it, go back to 2007 and tell them, hey, the 2021, was it 21? Well, when the Buccaneers won?
The Buccaneers had won, it was 2020.
Oh, okay, 2020.
It was 2020.
Okay? You tell someone, hey, the Buccaneers, they're going to win a Super Bowl, okay? And people are going to be like, who's the quarterback? Brady. They're going to be like, what? Brady? But, like, nah, they're going to think Belichick, dude. Like, Belichick.
Yeah.
Like, what about Belichick? Like, people say Belichick made Tom Brady, okay? Because he was picked, what was his draft pick? 190-something?
99.
Yeah, 199 in the draft, okay? Nobody didn't believe in him.
No, he wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah. But yet they made it work. But now it's like, hey, maybe Brady was actually the reason why Belichick won, got the rings, okay? Because look at Cam Newton. Look at Cam Newton's time in New England. People forgot about that. Why? Because they focused on Mac Jones. Okay, look what he has accomplished so far. Exactly, nothing.
He has one playoff appearance and a blowout loss against the Buffalo Bills. That's the only thing they have to show post Tom Brady. I hear your point about the Belichick and Tom Brady. I would like to think it was a combination of the two. I think they both elevated each other because Belichick had been a coaching, for the Browns. He did join the Patriots before Tom Brady. And then ultimately when Tom Brady got there, it was just a perfect connection. It was a perfect marriage between two different ideologies that happened to blend with one another and help elevate each other and build a culture that we know as the New England way. I think now that Tom Brady is gone, or that he was gone and he went to the Buccaneers, it goes back to what I was saying about surrounding yourself with talent. Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady anymore. He was still good. He was still great. But we knew physically he wasn't what he once was. Now, mentally, that's a different conversation. But he surrounded himself with guys like a Rob Gronkowski, a Mike Evans, a Chris Godwin, a Leonard Fournette, guys who had experience and were above the rest. I won't say elite, but arguably, yeah, you could say arguably elite. I think Mike Evans is elite. Shout out Dan. Robert Gronkowski, one of the best tight ends to ever do it. Leonard Fournette was a veteran by then. So even without Belichick, he still had a supporting cast that was able to help him elevate the team to what it became, and that was winning a Super Bowl championship that year.
Okay, so what if, maybe this might be a hot take, but what if the league figured out Belichick? Because the way I look at it, Belichick, he's like the Popovich for football.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay,
go ahead.
Like, I love Popovich, for basketball, I think he's an innovator, but it's like, I think they figured him out as well too.
I think they're among one of the greatest coaches of their time, both of them. I think at the end of the day, we're going to see a Mount Rushmore of coaching, and those guys have a spot.
I think the game just evolved.
I was going to say that. I think they're the best of their era, the best of all time, but over the course of time, the game changes. Belichick's way is now becoming obsolete, just like Popovich. Doesn't mean they're not great coaches. It's just their way of coaching is now obsolete. It's different. This is why guys like an Andy Reid, like a Kyle Shanahan, have elevated themselves because they've become so synonymous with the era. And now And to go back to your point as well, in terms of the coaching, you could say the same thing about Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. He had a Jimmy Garoppolo who had that experience with Bill Belichick, but for some reason it didn't work out. Now he has a Brock Purdy, and it just happens to, mesh
Flourish.
together. Say again?
Flourish like a flower, it just grows.
It just grows. It just works. And I think that's what it goes down to is your coaching and his style, and then your quarterback and their play style and their capabilities to bring the playbook and bring the scheme to life. That's what it's all about. Look at all the dynasties. It comes down to a great coach and a great quarterback. And keep in mind, this is Brock Purdy's first complete season and his second season overall, coming off of an injury last year. And to see what they're doing now that they've validated that, yes, we were supposed to be there last year, and now we're back in the Super Bowl, like I said, the second time in 4 years, winning an NFC championship, being in an NFC championship game for the fourth time in 5 years. This team is a perennial contender at this point, so anything less than a Super Bowl is unacceptable. They should be here. When you have all-pro talent like a George Kittle, a Juszczyk, McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Brock Purdy's an all-pro. Should be. Wasn't named one, but damn right he was an MVP. He's an MVP candidate. Excuse me. And that's just on offense. The defense itself has a roster of talent. It's just they've kind of taken a step back these last couple of weeks, and I need that defensive line to really put pressure on Mahomes because that connection between him and Kelce is going to determine the game. I don't really trust a Pacheco. I don't really trust a Rice, not Jerry. I look at Travis Kelce and Mahomes. That's the matchup. If we can slow them down on offense and continue to play our game offensively the way we would, that's the matchup. And we have another couple weeks to look forward to that. But again, what is your excitement level? What is your confidence level heading into this Super Bowl? It'll be our third Super Bowl, viewing. To witness, viewing in person, because obviously we saw Super Bowl 47 when we fell to the Baltimore Ravens. Boo. 54 when we fell to the Kansas City Chiefs. Boo. And now in 2024, back again against the Kansas City Chiefs for Super Bowl 58.
Well, the way I look at it, man, it's like this, okay? Do you remember Avengers Infinity War? Okay?
Of course.
Remember how they tried to stop Thanos?
Absolutely.
Okay, but Thanos obviously won. Okay? I feel like us in 2019, we were going to beat Mahomes. We had to. But we came up short. After that has happened, COVID hit. A lot of stuff has happened. Okay? And us, we're back 4 years later. Like, I know in the Avengers timeline, it was 5 years later. We can help make everything perfectly balanced as all things should be. Okay? I believe in third time's a charm. Okay? Yes, we saw our team lose twice. But third time's a charm. Look what happened to the past 2 years when we made it to the NFC Championship game. We lost to the Rams. We lost to Philly. We come back this year more hungrier. We're like, hey, we know we know the mistakes we did. We learned from our mistakes. Like, we wanted more. And we won. I don't know what happened in the halftime locker room when we were down 17. But damn, it worked.
It must have worked.
It worked. Like, I need to know what the hell Kyle said. I need to know what Shanahan told the players. Like, oh my God.
I look back at that game too, and you look at the amazing catch by Brandon Ayuk and what many Niner fans are referring to as the immaculate deflection.
Well, now I heard they're changing it now to the ladybug catch.
The ladybug catch?
Because Ayuk said that Purdy, in the game, a ladybug landed on Purdy or Ayuk's foot.
Yeah.
And usually when that happens, when a ladybug lands on you, it's good luck.
I don't know if you saw. I'm sure you saw, but also during the George Halas Trophy ceremony, there's the big standing. I don't know how to describe it, but the structure in which they stand on the stage, and members of the 49ers Gold Rush, their cheerleading team, there was another ladybug on that stage. So I don't know if that's, again, this is basically a superstition episode in terms of the NFL. For those who don't believe in it, hey, that's what you want to hear. But if for those that do, there you go. In terms of the way this team feels, you mentioned it. We lost the NFC Championship in 2021. 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're back in 2023. I feel like it's eerily similar to that 90s team. In 92, they couldn't beat the Cowboys. In 93, didn't beat the Cowboys. Finally, in 94, they break through and they go against the San Diego Chargers in the Super Bowl 29, our last Super Bowl victory. I agree with you in the sense that this team is hungry. They know what it takes to get there. They have, and again, those championship games came down to experience. The Chiefs had more experience than the Ravens. The Niners, way more experience than the Detroit Lions. That's what it comes down to. And I look at our team and the way it matches up with Kansas City. You still have several players on both teams who were there for the Super Bowl. The one difference, though, the players that weren't there. Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Chase Young haven't been there. They weren't there. And you look at Javon Hargrave, who was on that Eagle team last year that lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah. Oh, how can we forget? We got Travarius Ward.
He was
with the Chiefs.
Of course, Mooney Ward, all pro. This matchup in itself, I'm so excited for this one. I know for Super Bowl 47 against the Ravens back in the 2012 season, that one I didn't appreciate as much. And the Super Bowl 54, that one was like the first one where it's like, okay, I was all in and I was trying to take in the moment. But this one, again, just feels differently. And I know that no matter what happens, I'm proud of this team and the resolve and the resiliency that they displayed in this postseason. No matter what happens, even though I'm very confident in this team, I just got a different feeling about this one.
I don't know, man. My excitement level, it's through the roof, obviously, because we've dealt with heartbreaks. Okay, we've dealt with losses, and it sucked.
Yeah.
But now since we punched a ticket back into the Super Bowl, keep in mind, it's in Vegas.
Mm.
It's close to Cali. The fans travel pretty well, okay? Mm-hmm. I feel like we might have a good chance that there's going to be a good chunk of Niner fans at the game, you know?
I really hope so, but then I also look at the fact that the AFC Championship had concluded before ours. So Chief fans kind of had a head start in terms of tickets, but I don't doubt that Niner fans are also going to turn up, and I hope so. I anticipate it to be a good turnout. At the minimum, I'm hoping it's 50-50, but if we can get to like 70-30, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
I don't know, man. So, heading into the game, okay? What are your predictions on who's gonna show up? You know, who's gonna be more explosive? Okay,
I'll tell you some on offense and defense. Offensively, McCaffrey. He's been the secret weapon. I mean, it's not even a secret, but he's just been the top weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's been able to produce offensively, it's a Christian McCaffrey we haven't seen for years. He had that one really good season with the Panthers where he was MVP candidate, having 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. But the way he's implemented into this offense and how he is able to provide and contribute his own level of skill is unbelievable. But aside from him, the guy I think to look out for, I think is George Kittle. I genuinely believe that because George Kittle 4 years ago, upon losing against the Kansas City Chiefs, he was caught on video saying, I will be back. I will be back with a vengeance. I strongly believe, and not just him, obviously other people as well, but I do believe Kittle is due for a big game. He had a couple good catches in both the Packer and the Lion game, but I think this is definitely a game where he's going to leave his imprint. And defensively, I think Bosa and I think Warner. It's going to be those guys that have been there, that were there in 2019 when they had to face the Chargers. They had to face the Chiefs. Those are going to be the X factors. But I tell you, above all else, the one guy that I think the pressure is on the most, the one guy that is going to make sure to come in here and be prepared and to bust his ass in terms of preparation for this Super Bowl, Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
He needs this one. He's been there twice. This is now his second time. And he's knocked on the door multiple times as an OC and as a head coach. But this one can solidify it. This would be the cherry on top for the season that they've had as a team and as a coach. And the fact that he has not received a head coach of the year award yet is ridiculous. Should have got it in 2019. Should have got it last year. should get this year, but he won't. Watch, it's gonna end up going to like a Dan Campbell.
Okay, honestly,
or Kevin Stefanski.
You know, I think we should get it. That I'm actually surprised on how they did, like their performance as their first year as a head coach.
Oh, D'Amico?
Yeah,
D'Amico Ryans. Yeah,
I think D'Amico Ryans at least should get nominated for one, like just be talked about. Because think about it, he took a rookie quarterback, okay, went with the Texans. Nobody would think the Texans are going to the playoffs, but look what they did. You know, look what they accomplished. I think they have a pretty good future.
Oh yeah, I think the Houston Texans are going to be a perennial playoff team. I think they're going to be running that division for a while. And it's interesting to see because they're also going to have the likes of a Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had potential in last year, didn't live up to it this year. But I feel like that's going to be the matchup between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans for years to come. Mm-hmm. And I hope so. I love CJ Stroud. I'm a big fan and supporter of D'Amico Ryans. So I'm hoping for the best for them and moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how it goes for them.
Yeah. Might get a little bit sidetracked, but I want to go back to the whole who's going to perform pretty good in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
A dark horse I think people are kind of forgetting about, Javarius Ward.
Mooney Ward.
Okay. Not many people are talking about him, okay? He's all pro in my opinion, and honestly, I think my prediction, this might be bold.
You're going to say pick six, aren't you?
No, it's not going to be pick six.
Okay.
No. He's going to have 2 picks.
2 picks?
He's going to have 2.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
And honestly, Andy Reid, if you're listening to me right now, which you're probably not, I think you're making a mistake of not putting, oh my God, Kadarius Toney, is that his name?
Oh, yeah.
It's very like who?
No, you got it.
Okay, yeah. I think he's pretty good. Yeah, you should put him in. Okay, put him up against, Mooney Ward. I think it'd be pretty good. But I'm just kidding. I know what you guys are doing with him. There's a whole drama going on, which honestly,
keep it up.
Keep it up, cause maybe I might be biased, but usually whenever there's drama, everything falls apart. Big example, Philadelphia. I'm so proud to say I am so proud, because in my opinion, I believe the Niners broke down the Eagles. Ever since that game,
they only won 1 or 2 games. They didn't win more than 2. They beat Washington.
Yeah,
I think that might have been it.
I don't know, man.
In terms of
I don't know. We're getting sidetracked, but
it's all football related. It's all good. It's all leading up to the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl is the culmination of the NFL season and what we've endured as fans of not only the Niners but fan of the NFL. And like I said, to encompass what this season has become and what it'll end up being in the record books, this has been a Super Bowl matchup that a lot of people weren't cheering for and they weren't supporting. A lot of people wanted Lamar and the Ravens in there. They wanted the Lions in there.
Boo.
But like I mentioned, it comes down to experience. This is the Super Bowl matchup that we wanted as Niner fans, and I'm sure that the Chiefs would have wanted as well. And I look forward to seeing how it all plays out February 11th in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium, a beautiful stadium, by the way. And one time I just wanted to go ahead and thank you again, my brother, Jared, for being on the podcast again, this time the J Area Podcast. It's been a while since we've had you on the podcast, but it's always a welcome sight to have you here, especially because we have very similar takes and very similar opinions, but we kind of just spend it on a different ends of the spectrum. Anytime I can have you on here, always a pleasure. I hope to have you on here again soon. And as we prepare for the Super Bowl, do you want to go ahead and give a prediction?
Honestly, man, I can't say, because I believe in jinxes.
Sure.
Okay?
That's fine.
I'm not going to say anything, but I'm pretty sure, like, everyone, watching or listening to this, I'm pretty sure you guys know who I'm rooting for.
Yeah.
But the score, however, I don't know. I genuinely do not know. Because I know Mahomes, he wants to show up and wins another ring. Travis Kelce as well. Come on, he wants to, what's the word? Show off, it's his lady friend or whatever, Every guy wants to do that, they want to show off, say, hey, I'm a winner, I could win a ring, But honestly, if he's going to get a ring, let's give him a ring pop, okay? I know George Kittle is the type to joke around and give him that just for fun as a good rib.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I personally think it's going to be a close game. I went into the Packer game and the Lion game thinking it would be, not so close. So I'm going to go ahead and think it's going to be like a 3-point game. It's going to be a single possession game. I think we end up closing it off somewhere between 3 to 6 points. That's my opinion. That is our lead off to the Super Bowl. Thank you guys again for joining us on the J Area Podcast. We hope to see you next week. You can find me on all social media accounts at JustJose_3. Do you want to plug anything real quick, brother?
Yeah, so I forgot almost all my handles for everything. But of course I can never forget my Snapchat. Okay?
Yeah.
Y'all can follow me at broke_beaner445. Yes, you heard that right. I'm still on, even though I don't use it, but I love saying the name. I think it's funny.
It's a fantastic name.
Yeah, broke_beaner445, everyone. Please follow me, snap me, whatever. Just don't show me pictures of the Chiefs, 'cause I kind of get like really irritated and upset.
That'll earn you a quick block.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Oh, actually, I forgot, y'all. So, I know I haven't been on Twitch for lately, okay? But I'm making a comeback. Yes, you heard that right, y'all. I'm coming back February 29th, okay? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yes, I will be live streaming that. All right? This is big because I've been out for a year, okay? I'm really hyped for the game, y'all. I can't wait. I can't wait to see you all there. The YouTube channel, it's still up and running. But yeah, I'll see you guys there at twitch.tv/SanFran5. See you guys there.
All right, there you go. You heard it here first for the man, Broke Beaner 445. Thank you again for being on the podcast, bro.
Actually, Broke_Beaner 445.
Broke_Beaner. My
there you
apologies.
Go. Yes,
my apologies.
Yes.
Thank you again for being on.
Anytime. Well, thank you for letting me be on here, man. It's a pleasure.
Man, it's always just a genuine pleasure to be able to have my brother Jared on this podcast. We go way back, of course, being that we're brothers, and we go back all the way to birth. But in terms of his podcasting journey, he's been on it with it being the J Area Podcast and the original incarnation of Two Beans in a Pod. So to be able to have him on this version of the podcast and being able to really highlight and exemplify his opinions on the game as well as in life, I hope to be able to have him on the podcast more so and maybe more on a recurring base. I know in recent episodes I've been able to have the pleasure and the honor of having my good friend Daniel on, and I can't wait to kind of interface and also interject multiple other personalities and other people in my life on this podcast. You might be seeing more friends, more family, and it will be expanding more so not only towards sports, but also to other aspects of life and entertainment and movies and whatever might come up in our conversations. I'm still trying to figure out what this podcast is going to be. And I know for those who have been with me from the very beginning, there have been changes made, whether it is the topic of discussion, the logo, the clip art, the theme music. There's been a lot of different iterations and changes that I have gone through in terms of how I want to promote and present this product. And as soon as I figure out what I want it to be, I'll be sure to let you guys know, or you can let me know on what you guys think about it. But I wanted to take this time, obviously, after the interview and after that segment, to send my love and thanks to everyone who has ever supported this, who has sent me such warm and welcoming messages online, as well as told me in person how much they enjoy what I'm doing with this, and urging me to continue on. I know it is something that my family, namely my parents, have been very supportive of, and they keep pushing me and urging me to pursue this. It is something that I've always wanted to do, and I find genuine satisfaction and comfort in producing this for all you guys to listen, and it allows me an opportunity to not only grow closer with a vast majority of members of my audience, but also with those individuals who I may not connect with on a daily basis. There's many individuals that I've either gone to work with, gone to school with, even members of my family who, I check in every now and then, but this provides you another layer, another side of me and what I want to present out to the public. And I would hope that it opens up the doors for other interviews with other individuals who have their own experiences and their own lives and their own perspectives. And for me, it's always just been a learning process. And growing up, a real wise man always would tell me that life was a learning process. And I feel like with this podcast and what I've been able to do and to help grow it. I remember starting off with the first episode at 0 subscribers and 0 views and all that. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm at the top of the world right now, but it certainly is more further along than what I've been since the inception, since the beginning. And if there's one piece of advice that I could give you as a listener, is the hardest part of any journey is the starting point. You have to get the ball rolling. You have to get the ball rolling. You have to get the momentum going. And once you start believing in yourself, and once you develop this routine and this habit of what you want to pursue in your life or whatever project you're thinking of building, as soon as you start it, and as soon as you, again, like I said, begin that habit and begin that repetition, it just becomes easier and easier. It's something I look forward to. It's something I look forward to in terms of planning or producing and hearing the feedback from everyone, whether it's good or bad, because good things are reaffirming it and they give me little warm feelings and I feel great about what I'm producing. But the bad ones also help because it comes back as constructive criticism and I recognize what I can do better, what I shouldn't do. And like I said, at the end of the day, I welcome all types of comments, all types of criticisms, because my goal is to grow this into something big, into something that I can be proud of, into something that connects people all across the world, all across different backgrounds, environments. And I think communications is, again, one of the more crucial things in terms of our life. We have to communicate with one another. We have to gain an understanding of one another and why certain things are the way they are, or how we perceive them, because how I see them may not be the same way my brother sees them, or how Dan sees them, or how the guy across the street sees them. But to have these conversations, again, whether it's sports or not, I think it's very important to maintain that interaction with one another, because if you're not interacting with one another, you're not growing. And I think at the end of the day, the whole point of this life is to grow into the best possible version of ourselves. And I think that's something that we should all set out to. And I think at the beginning of every day, we should set out to do something that we can be proud of, that we should set a goal, and that is to make someone proud, whether it's ourselves, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member. That way, at the end of the day, when we're laying down in our bed and we're falling asleep and we're counting sheep, you can look yourself inside and say, you know what? I'm proud of what I did that day. I'll go ahead and leave you guys with that. Again, much appreciative, much love for the support and the ongoing praise or criticism, whatever you guys want to send my way. Thank you guys very much. I look forward to next week for the JREO podcast. Thank you guys.